Night is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.
Good evening, this is Ghana Tonight, and I'm Kemini Amano. We are live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Top of the news this hour. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia tipped to win NPP's presidential primary. Tonight, a close look at the predictive data and what this means for the future of the opposition party. Also in the news tonight, U.S. Embassy receives petition from protesters demanding immediate extradition of Ghana's former finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. Tonight, the protesting group Arise Ghana tells us what's next. And later, U.S. formally withdraws from the World Health Organization, citing mismanagement of COVID-19 pandemic. Tonight calls for global repositioning over the vacuum this creates. Once again, we're live on TV3 and on 392.7, also streaming live on X.com, YouTube, Facebook.com, 3news.com, and wherever you're watching us from, you are most welcome to the program. If you'd like to be a part of it more directly, so to speak, use the hashtag Ghana Tonight when you comment with your questions or thoughts. I am Kemini Amano. Let's bring you the summaries for the night.
Former Speaker of Parliament and a founding member of the opposition NPP, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, has admitted that the peace pact is not binding, but the party expects the individuals who signed to be decent enough to abide by it. The 5 flag bearer aspirants on Thursday signed a peace pact ahead of the New Patriotic Party's January 30 primaries.
It's not what I may call a contractual legal document. But we are all supposed to be decent people. We are all supposed to subscribe to the rules of the game. We are all enjoined to be decent in our operations and also to devise methods of managing state affairs so that we don't complain after the event.
As the Ayawaso East by-election takes shape, attention turns to the New Patriotic Party. On the side of the governing National Democratic Congress, the widow of the late NP is among those who have announced their intention to contest the NDC primaries. President Mahama has cut the sword for the construction of Phase 1 of a 2,000-unit military barracks project for the Ghana Armed Forces at the West African Soldiers Social Activities event. The president also commissioned a fleet of vehicles for the military expected to enhance operational efficiency. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, President Mahama reaffirmed the government's commitment to adequately resource the armed forces to enable them to effectively carry out their mandate. The 2,000-unit barracks project is aimed at improving living conditions for officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces. President Mahama, who is Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, added that adequate budgetary allocations have been made to complete 4 additional forward operating bases before the end of the year.
This project, together with the Barracks Regeneration Program, reflects our commitment to improve living conditions for service personnel and their families. As your Commander-in-Chief, I remain resolute in my commitment to ensure that the Ghana Armed Forces are fully resourced and positioned to serve Ghana, our sub-region, Africa, and the rest of the world with distinction.
Commissioner for the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, Joseph Whittle, has assured former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta of support if his rights are violated. The commissioner stated that if Mr. Ofori-Atta returns to Ghana and faces an unfair trial, SHRAJ will speak out against any politicization of the process. He said this when Arise Ghana visited him, seeking his support to protect former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta's human rights.
I wish to assure him that Ken should not worry, he should come. This commission will speak up for him if his rights are being violated, if he's not given the right trial, the fairness of the trial is questioned. We will speak up, and we'll speak up if for some reason there is unnecessary politicization of the trial.
Original Manufacturing and Embossment Company Limited, the company contracted to implement the new number plate system, is now party to the suit against the DVLA. The High Court granted the company's application to become a defendant in the case brought by the Vehicle Embossment Association against the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority.
What is our crime? We have always been obedient to government and the DVLA. We have paid our taxes regularly. We have never been involved in any scandal. We have always been loyal. Successive governments have come and gone. We have always been loyal. So now, what is our crime? That our jobs are all of a sudden being taken away from us.
The Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, DVLA, has announced new initiatives that are expected to take effect in the coming weeks. Speaking at a press briefing to give an account of their 1 year in office, Chief Executive Officer for the authority, Julius Nikwe-Kote, said these measures seek to strengthen road safety, deepen digitalization, and enforce compliance to restore order on the roads.
We are starting a project where license expiration will be conterminous to your date of birth. It will be conterminous to your date of birth. So your date of birth will be the day your license will be expiring. That is the new initiative we are bringing on board. And just the public should know about that. So we are about to roll on Road Ready to it. So when it's time for you to go and renew your Road Ready, we'll give you SMS to inform you.
Ghana Brief there for you. If you just joined us, you are in time for the show proper. It's Ghana Tonight live on TV3 and on 392.7 FM. Coming up. Barely 8 days to the NPP presidential primary. Now the polls predicting a winner. Let's get into that. That winning candidate, former Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, the latest poll predicts he will lead his closest contender by nearly 30 percentage points and very high favorability among the over 10,000 respondents in the survey. 5 leading members of the party are vying to be the NPP's flag bearer 2 years ahead of the 2028 general elections. And according to this poll, that person most likely to win this race is the former vice president. Author of the poll, Musa Dankwa, and Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, is joining us for a bit more on that. But before I go on to Musa, I want to show you some important aspects of this poll. Like what you see on your TV right now. It says, who leads NPP in 2028? This says committed poll. Now, Musa is going to explain that to us. And you can tell that the former president goes up with 48%, followed by Kennedy Ohene Ejapong, former Asin Central MP, 25%. Dr. Brian Echampo follows with 6%. Dr. Yaya Duchum with 1%. And Kwabena Ejapong, former General Secretary of the party, with 0%. 21% of the respondents did not disclose who they think will lead the party in 2028. But there's more. There's more. The neighbor effect, Global Info Analytics calls it. With the neighbor effect, we see Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia shoot up to 62%. We see the same for his closest contender, Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong, go to 32%. Dr. Brian Achampong drops 1 percentage point to 5%. We see Dr. Yao Educhum maintain 1%. Kwabna Agyapong at 0% as well. We understand all the dynamics that come with that. Let's see the next one. Here's the prediction, right? After putting all the metrics together, the Global Info Analytics is predicting that 57% will be what the winner would likely come out with. And that winner is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, followed by the 28% Kennedy Ohene-Agyapong. We see Dr. Brian Achampong in the predictive poll itself jump to 13%. We see a marginal jump also for Dr. Yao Educhum, 2%. Meanwhile, Kwabna Agyapong stays at 0%. Now, 0%, I want to know what that means. Well, let me bring in now Musa Dankwa, who is Executive Director for Global Info Analytics, to explain this poll. Musa, I appreciate your time this evening. But even before we get into the nitty-gritties of this, I want to understand the metrics here. We see neighbor effect, we see committed voter, and then we see the predictive poll itself. What do all these things mean?
Amani, thank you very much for having me. When we talk about the committed voters, it simply means people who said they have decided, they know who to vote for. In a lot of the cases, they've given their name to us. In some cases, those names are being withheld. So that model shows that 48% of the delegates we spoke to have committed their vote, and they are voting for Bawumia. And 25% of them are saying that they are voting for Kennedy Agyapong. And then the 5% also saying that they are committing to voting for Brian, and 2% voting for Educhum. Now, you also mentioned the
neighbor effect.
Neighbor effect. This is a model that has been tested in the United States in the last few election cycles. Generally, people are willing to talk about how others are voting. But when it comes to what they are doing themselves, they tend to be a bit cagey. So here we ask them, who do they think that their fellow delegate friends will be voting for? On that score, you see that Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia goes to 62%. So it means 62% of the delegate believe that their friends are voting for Bawumia. And 32% are voting for Kennedy, 5% for Brian, and 1% for Dr. Educhum.
Educhum, and is that having an impact on who they choose to vote for?
Yes, I mean, no, this one will not have impact on who they choose to vote for, but it may influence them. If they believe that most of their friends are voting for a candidate, if they want to be assisted to choose, they may go to where they believe people are voting.
I see. Then we look at the predictive poll itself, which you tell us has a margin of error minus or plus 3%, right?
Yes.
When we look at that poll, and I want to draw that out quickly, or perhaps we could put it on a TV so that it would be easier for people to follow what I'm referring to. We see DMB at 57%, followed by 28%. How does this predictive poll itself differ from particularly the committed voter poll or metric?
Now, this model is based on the outcome of the committed model, in the sense that it uses the base number of 48, 20, the 28, I think 2032, that number, I'm now trying to remember it. And then use those who said, I am committed, but I'm not telling you. We have found a way to unearth who they might vote for. And is the modeling effect is what has been used to do the predictions. When we apply that, then you could see that Kennedy drops about 4 points from where he was previously. And Brian Acheampong gains additional votes from that as a result of Ken losing grounds. Now, what is happening is that between Kennedy and Brian, they are exchanging votes. When Brian goes up, Ken comes down. And when Brian goes down, Ken goes up.
What could be responsible for that?
No, in fact, it's been like that for some time, but in the recent time, from last Tuesday, because we've been doing daily tracking poll, we've seen a ripple effect of maybe the backlash Ken has received on the viral video that went around from Tuesday on Baomia's case. And I think that has really cost him some numbers. And those who were abandoning his ship are jumping onto Brian's ship at the moment.
I see. I'm going to come to you. We'll do some comparison. We know that from the survey you shared with us, Dr. Baomia's win is not so different from, his predictive win is not so different from what you predicted some 3 days ago. But I'd like to know how it compares to 2023. I'll come back to you for that. But I'll bring in now Professor Sima Sarpong, who is a political scientist and researcher himself. Prof, the outcome of this predictive model is consistent with your own assertions or predictions about the January 31st primary, correct?
Right, correct. Good evening to your good self, and good evening to my brother Musa and our cherished viewers.
I see. What do you think could be driving the numbers for the former vice president?
Okay, right. So what I tried to look at was to see who the delegates perceived as, number one, the most unifier, number two, the most suitable, the person with the characteristics to manage the office of the flag bearer and eventually, if they are fortunate, a president. And then the last one was the most popular. And then I tried to see overall who the delegates intend to vote for. But my main conclusions were to the effect that if I am a delegate and I see A as the most unifier, the same A as the most suitable for the position being, and then the same A being the most popular, the conclusion is that I am likely, or the person is likely to go that direction. So I have, for the most suitable, I have Dr. Baomia 57.2, and then Honorable Ken Agyapong 31.9, Honorable Brian 7.5, Honorable Dr. Osayi Edichum 1.4, and then Honorable Kwabena Agyapong 0.7. The remaining were undecided, just few, about 1.5 undecided. So that is for who they perceive to be most suitable for the position. Then we have the most popular. Then that one too, we have Dr. Mahmoud Baumia leading with 59.0, Honorable Ken 31.5, Honorable Brian Acheampong appreciates to 6.2, and then we have Dr. Osayi Edichum 1.3, Honorable Kwabena Agyapong 1.3. And so that is on the most popular. On the most unifier, unfortunately, that place, Ken reduces a little from the 30 range to 24.0, and Brian increases to 16.8. And then it keeps Dr. Baumia at 52.1, and then Dr. Osayi Edichum 1.3, and then Kwabena Agyapong 1.0. The remaining goes into undecided.
Prof,
so
Prof I want you to go over the most popular numbers again for me. I want to compare that with the Global Info Analytics poll as well. What are your numbers?
So for most popular, 59.0, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Then I have Honorable Ken Ejapong, 31.5. Then we have third place, Dr. Brian Echampong, Honorable, 6.2. Dr. Yao Osei Educhum, 1.3. Honorable Kwabena H. Ejapong, 1.3. And then the undecided goes to 0.7. So on the most popular, it appears the undecided are just few. They are all convinced that the order in which I mentioned is the order in which their candidates are quite, the popularity ratios are.
All right, so gentlemen, I want us to stay on popularity. And Musa, again, clarify for me if popularity here in Professor Smasapon's poll would mean favorability in yours.
Who's popular? They believe that if you are popular, you are more likely to be elected. So they will tend to vote that way.
So favorability, popularity, we are looking at the same thing, because I want to ask both of you, the same question. I want to be sure that we are all on the same page.
In our case, the formula is different from maybe what Smasapon has done. We ask them to tell us whether they see them favorably or unfavorably. And then what we do is that we add the favorability together and then subtract the unfavorability from it to have net rating for that favorability. So when you look at our data, Bawumia still is on 93% or so, and then Kennedy is on 85% when you do that calculation, and then Brian on 86%. What you could see, I mean, for the first time is that Brian is seen more favorably than Kennedy in the eyes of the delegates.
And even more shocking for me is you can tell that all 5 candidates are favorably seen by your respondents and, by translation, by party folk, right? But that favorability does not translate into whether or not the respondents think that they could actually win the election. For instance, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, favorability 93%, the highest in the pack. But on the predictive model itself, he's 57% for a win. You look at Kwabena J. Ejapong, 85% favorability, the highest rating he's got in anything at all. You compare that to the predictive model itself, is 0% win for him or loss, depending on how you look at it, right? Why is that the case? Why are we not seeing...
Okay, it is the case because every single delegate is required to rate all the 5. Whereas in voting, you only choose 1. I can see you favorably, but I may not vote for you.
I see. So the problem there, well, not the problem, but the difference there was the requirement to choose all 5.
Yes. Give us your view about how you perceive them.
I see.
So we can see who is the best rated among them all.
Again, let's look at the qualities influencing candidates' choice. The ability to win, caring about the grassroots, bringing change, uniting the NPP, trustworthiness, humility. I got to see a few people on that humility bar. We'll come to that, right? Humility, other factors, and be a fighter. Professor Smasapon, how important are these indicators for a primary like this?
Well, very, very important. And if I measure suitability and I get the most suitable to be 57.2 in favor of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, then it encompasses what constitutes suitability. Ghanaians would see the person most emotionally stable or emotionally able to tolerate things, humble. You see the things that we appreciate as qualities of a good leader. When all those things come together, it makes the leader suitable for the position. And I think the detailed scale as used by Musa Dankwa perhaps can sum up to most suitable, because we are looking at characteristics that the persons may need. And trust me, here in this republic, those characteristics are very, very essential. And all who may seek to lead may want to deliberately exhibit those characteristics.
I see. Musa, I want us to wrap up now on this conversation. I did ask that how does this compare to 2023, but also how does it generally compare with approval of a candidate? Because there are those who have made the point, and Professor Smasapon, you chip into this for me as well. There's those who have made the point, while the former vice president may get the approval of the people, it appears to be one of the lowest approvals seen, at all. So, Musa, let's start with the numbers. How does it compare? Then Prof comes in for me.
If you take our predictions, which has Bawumia on 57%, that is about 4 points lower than what he got in 2023. So it's underperforming his 2023 numbers. Kennedy, on the other hand, got around 27% in 2023. Is now doing 28%, down about five points. We didn't have Brian Achampong in there. So we could see that Brian Achampong may be the beneficiary of all this confusion that we are seeing in the MPP race. He seems to be a breath of air, and he seems to have taken votes from Bawumia and taken votes from Kennedy from this model. But he appeared to have taken more from Kennedy at the moment than he did for Bawumia. And I have said this before, that at the end of the race, neither Bawumia could jubilate even if he wins, and Kennedy will not jubilate. The only person who may be jubilating on that day, even though he will not win, might be the Brian Achampong.
Chip in for me in terms of the trends. Are people right when they talk about the approval of whoever becomes the eventual winner? In this case, the predictive models, both for you and Musa Danquah, says that it is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Should he be worried about the low approval?
Right. I think it's a contest of 5 ables and 5 virtually equally experienced people. And so I will not go for the margin. Yes, he may wish to get a wider margin, but I think around these predictions and whatever may come out as the actual should be enough validation of his candidature, and then his ability to unify all the rest and the entire party becomes the most important thing. So he shouldn't be worried about a certain gap that he intended to get. He could work more and see if he can expand beyond these predictions. But whatever the outcomes may be, the important thing is that you win, and you may have to immediately begin to unify your party, because it is one thing winning at your party level and another thing preparing to face the might of the NDC. So this will just be phase 1 of the events. The major one is preparations towards 2028, and I'm sure he is well mindful of that, and he would act the unity steps as immediate as possible, whoever becomes the eventual winner.
Prof, thank you so much for your time. Musa Danquah, I appreciate you as well. Gentlemen, we'll end it here. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
We'll now turn attention to other issues, particularly because Arise Ghana suspends protests at the U.S. Embassy, where they demanded immediate release of Ken Ofori-Atta. Now, that suspension of the protest follows delivery of a formal petition to U.S. officials at the embassy here in Accra. Now, for days, Arise Ghana picketed at the frontage of the consulate, asking U.S. authorities to immediately extradite former Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta. Here's a look back.
Share a long-standing and cordial relationship founded on diplomatic values, good governance, mutual respect for sovereignty, and cooperation in matters of justice and institutional accountability. We humbly request that the embassy within the bounds of diplomatic mandates and applicable international and domestic laws consider providing any assistance or guidance that may support efforts aimed at facilitating the return of Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta to Ghana to engage constructively with relevant state institutions. We have resolved to temporarily suspend our intended indefinite picketing for a period of 1 week to allow time for a response to our concerns. Should there be no progress after this period, we reserve the right to resume the picketing until Mr. Ken Nana Ofori-Atta is made available to the Ghanaian authorities, consistent with established precedents of cooperation between our two governments in facilitating the return of Ghanaian citizens to face lawful processes when requested by the United States.
Now, the group has warned to resume their action, as you heard, indefinitely if they do not receive any assurances from American authorities. For what that means, I am joined here in the studio by Selom Dramado, who is convener of Arise Ghana. Selom, I appreciate your time with us this evening.
Thank you very much for having me here. And just a little correction, I'm one of the leading members of Arise Ghana.
Oh, leading members of Arise Ghana.
I'm one of the leading members of Arise Ghana.
Thank you so much for the correction.
Thank you.
So then, you have given a week for U.S. officials to do something?
Yes.
Immediately return the former fine to the jurisdiction?
To this jurisdiction, where he is, that jurisdiction cannot try the charges leveled against Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, the 78 charges leveled against Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta can only be tried in this jurisdiction, not in American jurisdiction. In American jurisdiction, they can only try him on the, what is embroiled in now or embattled with, which is the immigration case. Here in Ghana, we want him to come and account for the 8 years that he had opportunity to be the finance minister and economic planning for our country. It's, that position is no mean a position. So then, for that person to hold that position and without accounting to the good people of Ghana, it would put our democracy in jeopardy. It would jeopardize our democracy. That means that the accountability, which is a sine qua non of democratic governance, it's not being seen or manifest. It's not manifesting in reality in Ghana. You understand? It means that democracy is no more. It means we have our duty bearers have succeeded in putting democracy out of office and have installed something that we have not collectively subscribed to.
I see. I suspect that you had that in your petition.
Sure.
A clear call for U.S. authorities to return.
Fortunately, the kind of democracy we subscribe to as a country, that's the same thing that obtains in America. They also champion and captain accountability. You understand? And that is what we are demanding here. So it will be hypocritical on the part of the U.S. not to facilitate the comeback of the gentleman who is in their custody, I mean ICE custody as we speak. He must come back to Ghana. He must either be extradited, repatriated, or deported.
Those were the options you gave in your petition?
Exactly,
okay.
Exactly. So we just want them to facilitate his movement back home because he's needed here to answer criminal charges leveled against him.
Well, he's had his first hearing. We know that another hearing of the...
will be on the 27th of April.
27th of April.
Exactly. But that thing has, it has not in any way broken our resolve. For us in Arise Ghana, we are so optimistic that Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta will definitely be brought back to Ghana to answer for the decisions and the contracts he signed for and on behalf of the good people of Ghana. So
this is where I'm going with that. There's no denying that we all have the right to protest as Arise Ghana is doing. At the same time, what we see happening in the U.S. is that he's going through due process. Now, if you want U.S. authorities to circumvent that due process, extradite him bring him to this country to face justice, do you not give him ammunition to say he will not go through due process in this country?
What we are doing, or what we have initiated now, which is just one of the PICIT is just one of the things that we have rolled out.
Indeed.
We have a plethora of strategies that we will use.
I see.
But, oh yes, a plethora, an array of strategies. Potent one that can bring Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta back. The PICIT is just like
the tip of the iceberg.
The tip of the iceberg, or the forerunner. The forerunner.
So what
the precursor to the main thing. You understand?
What is the main thing?
We have it up our sleeve. It is, yeah, we have it up our sleeve. And when the time is due, definitely we will bring you up to speed as to the next line of action.
You went to Shraj today. Shraj assured you that once he comes, he will go through due process. But I'm just wondering, why did you make the call on Shraj?
Fantastic. It's good you have even raised this. You see, so we will succeed in dispelling or diffusing that notion, or debunking the notion that Arise Ghana is a mouthpiece of the governing party. You understand? Arise Ghana is not a mouthpiece of the governing party. The governing party, or the governing party has communication outfits. The governing party has what it takes to also do same. So we are not mouthpiece of the governing party or the government. So to debunk that notion, right after doing the presentation of our petition to the U.S. authority today, we proceeded to Shraj, because Shraj is the principal state agency in charge of preservation and protection of human rights. So we went there to seek the assurance from the Shraj boss, Mr. Joseph Whitall, that whether his office will protect and preserve the fundamental human rights that Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta is entitled to enjoy if he's brought back to Ghana. Mr. Whitall, Joseph, never minced word. He was direct and blunt and said that Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta will be better off coming to Ghana than where he is currently being held. And it's true, because Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta, given his stature, for him to be kept in ICE detention, it's a national shame. It's a national disgrace.
Why?
Why?
Yes.
Oh, that is Ghana's former finance minister who is inhabiting a facility with hardened criminals.
Well, he's considered a low-level offender.
A low-level offender?
Yes.
So you mean that there's a facility meant for low-level offenders there? No, it doesn't. Because we at Arise Ghana, we have independently checked to, yes, where he is being kept. And that is even what is like provided a spring in our step to do this thing, to push this thing forward.
So you want to help him come home?
Of course, he must come back home.
Because he'll be better. Because when you see the color code he's wearing, it seemed he's in that appearance in court remotely. Yeah. The color code of the detention outfit he's wearing is a low-risk offender.
No, even Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta wearing a color that contrasts his favorite color, which is white.
I can't believe you went there with it. I mean, he's in he's in different circumstances.
Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta has a fervent love for white, diaphanous white, immaculate white. But today, that color is now contrasted with black. He's now wearing black. So Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta, Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta, given his level of education, his culture, where he hails from, right. Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta should have the presence of mind to see clearly that, no, I am bringing some disgrace, a certain degree of disgrace upon myself and my family and those yet unborn. You understand? Because, look, Mr. Kanu-Ofori-Atta had opportunity to be the finance minister for this country under his cousin's presidency. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta decided to also suffer the sickness or disease or the ailment that plagued his cousin, the president at the time. You know, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was plagued with a certain ailment.
I don't know.
He became tone deaf. And that thing became infectious, which has affected Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta as well. So, Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, all the alarm bell that we were sounding, that the direction we are going, the kind of contracts you are signing, these things are fishy and
Which is why you want him to come and answer.
That is why we want him, because at Arise Ghana, it is not our desire or wish to prejudge whatever cases or charges being leveled against
What's
him.
your response to those who would ask Arise Ghana, why are you also not calling for immediate extradition of Sedina Tamaklo?
Fantastic. You are a good journalist. I love this. So you want to test our level of objectivity and patriotism by bringing this question.
Why not?
Thank you very much.
What has happened?
Yeah, correct. For now, it's Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta that is the focal point. It doesn't mean that we have taken our eyes off Madam Sedina Tamaklo, because otherwise, Arise Ghana will appear like a Janus face.
But that's how you appear now.
No. We have had instances we have had opportunity to make our stance known. Just that we have not formally put out any release expressly stating our stance on this matter. But individually, we have spoken. Because Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is now, allegations have been leveled against Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. But in the case of Madam Sedina Tamaklo, she has been convicted. Okay, so for us to appear as people who are actually championing the supreme interest of Ghana and being led by sense of objectivity and integrity, we must as well talk about Madam Tamaklo.
I agree.
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
But your petition to the U.S. Embassy only named Ken Ofori-Atta. I didn't name Sedina Tamaklo.
Yeah, the picket was about Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta, not about Madam Sedina Tamaklo, because...
So on hindsight, do you think that the focus should have been on the two persons who are currently undergoing extradition processes?
Not on hindsight. Fortunately, for us members of Arise Ghana, we are blessed with the three sides, the foresight, hindsight, and the insight. Blessed with this. All of us in Arise Ghana, we are all blessed with this one. So it is not like we have jettisoned Madam Tamaklo's case and only pursuing Ken Ofori-Atta. No, it is a strategy we have adopted.
Okay.
Madam Tamaklo's turn will come.
Gotcha.
And when that time comes, definitely maybe you'll be inviting me onto the show to talk fervently about Madam Tamaklo. Because it's important. Our duty bearers must always demonstrate integrity, probity, and accountability.
I agree. Between now and the 1 week that you've given the U.S. Embassy, what would Arise Ghana be doing as far as this matter is concerned?
What would Arise Ghana be doing
on the Ken March return?
This time?
Yes.
Arise Ghana, we have a lot on our plate. A lot on our plate. Okay. You understand? So what is on the boil now is Ken Ofori-Atta's case.
Yeah.
You understand? When the time comes for us
but in terms of the Ken issue, what's next? Now that you've given U.S. authorities 1 week ultimatum, what's next?
I know your journalistic curiosity is pushing you to be asking this question, because earlier on, I told you that we have our strategies, we have them up our sleeve.
Oh, I thought your strategy would be after the 1 week. I'm asking within the 1 week, when you're waiting for action from the U.S. authorities.
Okay, so correct. So Arise Ghana intends to visit the state agencies that are mandated to investigate.
Right.
Okay? Investigate issues involving Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta. Okay? So we'll formally be paying calls on state institutions that are clothed with the powers of investigating crime. And you understand, crime.
Well.
And then holding duty bearers accountable. That is what we'll be doing. Arise Ghana will be doing that in between time. That is what we intend to do.
Salom, thank you so much for coming. It's been a pleasure talking to you. All the best.
Too. And next time we're inviting you, when your reporters come along.
We will cover
because it's about money.
The protest.
It's about money. Duty bearers should not be dissipating our coffers, squandering our resources, plundering them. No.
Elon,
We must hold them to the
thank you for coming.
fire of accountability. Kebede, thank you very much.
Selom Dramado is a leading member of Arise Ghana. We've just been talking about the Ken must come back justice protest.
Hashtag bring back Ken.
Bring back Ken. Yeah. I'll be right back. Don't go away.
Why are more and more professionals choosing Flamingo paint?
As an interior decorator, I aim for that beautiful, elegant look. Flamingo paint has great hiding ability to cover and transform old walls easily with just one coat.
Impressive.
For me, as a professional painter, I love Flamingo paint because it is small paints that paint huge area, meaning more profit for me.
Great value for money. As an architect, Flamingo paint, with its well-researched and solid composition, guarantees durability for all my buildings.
Flamingo paint, superior hiding, superior coverage, superior durability. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kel Charcoal toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Kel Charcoal toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo kendini, ehu behia, semecha sapapadia to amame manfo. Kel Charcoal's natural ingredients, eno bomb se ho ban, e mane swing, ne sanso mama hotoso e wo bedwam.
Kel Charcoal toothpaste. Choose Kel Charcoal toothpaste for anti-cavity, whiter teeth, and fresher breath all day. Available in 80 gram and 150 gram. Grab yours today.
Kel, happy smile. This advert is FDA approved.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson,
Me didn't tum. Mr. Friend, Calico, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Friend, once now.
Hey, that's you.
Improve car.
Yeah.
It's official. The United States of America formally withdraws from the WHO. That's coming up. What it all means for global geopolitics on the way. America exiting the WHO means the world no longer has access to America's crucial funding. Right now, that translates into about 1/5 of WHO's funds. U.S. decision to exit the WHO began last year when President Trump first took office. He signed an executive order to leave the WHO. Leaving means a slash in money for vaccination drives, outbreak responses, and health programs in the global south, but particularly in Africa. Here's an expert view on this.
The biggest impact it's going to have on us is the availability of reagents that allow us to identify the pathogens. But we still have the African CDC and we have the WHO pact still in place. So it's not completely a disaster. I think the United States is going to bear the brunt. Government now has to put in a budget that allows these groups to buy the required reagents so that they could be able to identify. We have the technology, we have the expertise. I saw the first sign, but they were giving us very little money and telling us that the pathogens should be given to them permanently. Nobody signs that kind of agreement. The agreement was completely in favor of the United States, and I hope our ministry is not in a position to sign that.
Crucial funding rearrangement is needed. More importantly, a fine time for African leaders to step up and put the continent first, or at least their countries, and cut back on the cap in hand. Now, this is how the withdrawal will be operationalized, because it's a number of things. Let's take a look at that. Now, that withdrawal will include all U.S. government funding to the WHO being terminated, U.S. personnel and contractors assigned to or embedded with the WHO have been recalled from the WHO headquarters in Geneva and offices worldwide. We also see hundreds of U.S. engagements with the WHO have been suspended or discontinued. And then finally, the U.S. has ceased official participation in WHO-sponsored committees, leadership bodies, governance structures, and technical working groups. Now, clearly, there will be an impact on global health. But I want us to situate this in the diplomatic world, in geopolitics. Joining me now is Professor Lord Mawuko Yevuga. Prof, you have extensive knowledge in international relations. Let's look at the last few weeks, right? We have the events in Venezuela. We see how Davos responded to President Trump's desire and lust for Greenland. And now he's returned and withdrawn officially the U.S. from the WHO. How are the global tectonic plates shifting as far as you're concerned?
Yes, thank you very much, and thanks for having me. I think these are interesting times in global politics and diplomacy. And like you rightly mentioned, it's been a roller coaster for the global system over the past couple of weeks, starting in Venezuela when they captured or they kidnapped the sitting president. And now we are seeing all these things happening. And Trump could be described as a disruptor. He's disrupting the post-Second World War international system that America has actually led all these years. And as the Canadian Prime Minister mentioned the other day, we are witnessing a rupture, not a transition, a rupture in the international system. And we all have to get ready to play the role that is expected of every country. We can't continue to rely on American leadership anymore. And Trump has made that absolutely clear. So for me, these things are going to change the global power dynamics and geopolitics, because American leadership is very key. So if America is ceding that leadership, then it means that we have to be ready for a new global system that is taking shape.
Who is this disruption benefiting?
Well, I mean, first of all, Donald Trump campaigned on American first, that anything that he will get involved in, the priority will be America. So yes, by not contributing money to WHO and other global organizations, that money, the argument will be that will go to develop America. So America will be the main beneficiary, but Trump, as an individual, will be the main beneficiary because he's trying to recreate the international system in his own image. So some of the things that he's doing now would actually outlive him, and I think that's how he wants to do it.
Do you see that global power shifting into the hands of the U.S., or perhaps the U.S. is creating a more fractured global front where with every disruption there is that silver lining where someone, perhaps the African continent, could feel?
Well, I think it gives a good opportunity to the vacuum that America is creating. We also how the Canadian Prime Minister made a strong case for the middle powers. So middle powers will be Canada, Australia, UK, France, Germany, all those other powers that for a very long time have relied on American leadership. Then, of course, we from the global south, from Africa, from Asia, from Latin America, it gives us also opportunity to step up and actually see what we can do for ourselves. I'm even surprised that people are surprised about what is happening because, you know, it takes 1 year for you to exit the WHO. And when Donald Trump took over power last year, January, that's when the day he took power, he signed an executive instrument. So that should have been a warning to global leaders to start preparing for this where we are now today. So if they are taken by surprise, I will be surprised by that.
There are those who have, understood this as a hijack of global power. Do you see the other powerful countries, powerful organizations bending to the whims of President Trump in the future? How far is that future off?
Yeah, that's very likely. You will notice that he's creating the what is calling a board of peace or the peace board, whatever you want to call it, and which, if you look at it carefully, the charter that has been leaked, it kind of tries to mimic the UN system. So he's trying to recreate the global system, and the Americans are creating a new global organization, which will be doing some of the things that the UN was originally mandated to do. But the interesting is that all the other powers, if you look at the Security Council, the P5, so the 4 plus America making 5, the remaining 4 members, Security Council permanent members, have not signed up to his peace board, which means that there's a pushback from the European allies and other global powers, China, Russia. They are all a bit hesitant because they can see the game that Donald Trump is trying to play, trying to recreate the international system in ways that would actually sideline other powers and privilege him. Because he's saying that even when he leaves office, he's going to be in perpetuity the chairman of this peace board. So clearly, this is not a democratic, open kind of global system that we are used to. It's going to be personalized kind of system. That for me is not durable. And I think that is an opportunity for all countries. And I've seen that the European countries are pushing back. We've seen that the UK, for the first time, has broken ranks with Donald Trump to criticize some of the things he had to say, including the comment he made yesterday about the NATO countries not playing a frontline role in the war in Afghanistan, which is a total lie. And that has infuriated a lot of NATO member countries who actually lost their citizens in that war. And that was the first time Article 5 of NATO Charter was invoked. So for Donald Trump to deny all that, so he's giving a different narrative that doesn't align with what we all know to be the truth. So I think it's an opportunity for us to all begin to imagine a different international system that will not have American leadership.
I can't help but, notice or infer that really it does sound like the world has gone a little bit crazy. And I wonder, right, if we are headed into another world war like some people fear. Is there any sign of that?
Well, there's some uneasiness. If you look at all the things happening, I mean, Donald Trump is not going to be in power forever. And that is our relief, because if this were to continue for a longer period, it could create a situation where we can be experiencing another world war. Because whether we like it or not, global powers or the hegemonic powers will not stay like that forever. And if America is gradually losing its control over the system that it created after the Second World War, then we have to begin to ask questions, what is going to replace it? So luckily for us, even in America itself, not everybody is buying Donald Trump's brand of global leadership. And if there midterm elections in November, the political calculus in Washington could change. If the Republicans lose Congress, then it's possible that Donald Trump may even be impeached. And that could be a relief. But because this thing continues for the next 2 years, a lot of damage would have been done to the global system. That may take a longer period to repair. Yeah.
So Prof, what do you think? Should we expect more withdrawals from now till the end of his term, till midterms, however, things play out?
UN-affiliated organizations. And he's going to do more. I mean, even to look at the threat he's posing to NATO alliance. The threat to intervene in Greenland would have been unheard of, because that would have mean attacking a NATO member country. And that would have even marked the end of NATO. But thank God he has climbed down. But the guy is unpredictable. And if you are not careful, we wake up the next morning, we don't know what else he's going to do. So everybody is just praying and hoping that things stay a bit stable to the midterm elections in November, because Republicans are also anxious. They are going to be defeated if this is continuing.
A lot of people have been shocked, and not in a good way, in terms of things happening in Davos 2026. But one thing I'm proud of is the Accra Reset Summit. The president made some very important remarks there. One of those remarks, which situates itself properly in our conversation tonight, is this. When he talks about, if we could mobilize the world to fight a disease, why can't we mobilize to fight poverty, to fight dependency, referring to us, to fight the systems that keep brilliant young Africans locked out of the future? How crucial, important is the statement that the president made in these times that we find ourselves in as a global village?
And President Mahama has to be commended. It is times like this that leadership shows. I mean, when the world is in crisis and there's a search for new ideas, we look for leaders to emerge, to step up. And he has done that. And given what is happening now, his call for Africa in particular to rise to the occasion, to begin to have health sovereignty, taking care of our own needs as a continent, I think that will resonate with a lot of people. That will say, yes, maybe the silver lining to all this craziness that we are seeing is the fact that new leaders are emerging, and he, Mahama, be one of those coming from Africa. That is saying something that everybody wants to hear.
Prof, look at us. We still have some time, but thank you so much for talking to us. Professor Lord Malko Yevuga, international relations expert. Always a pleasure talking to you. Let's do this more often, Prof. Right now, however, I have to go. Remember that tomorrow, 7 a.m., Alfred Okanse will be here with his panel to discuss the week's biggest stories. On Sunday, I will see you at 1 p.m. for Hot Issues. My name is Kemeni Amano. This is Ghana Tonight. Good night.
Ghana Tonight is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint. Superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage, simply superior.
Sasso insecticide spray and coil.